many are you taking out?
250.
250?
They had a big master plan for the North Camp, which involved, of course, 3 big holes. And the scale had never been tried like that. 1, they did 3 at a time, and 2, the dimensions. It would all have to be in the neighborhood of 300 feet. Each hut, we had a stove, and it sat on some tile. And so they moved the stove, took up the tile, put the tile on a base so that you could move the whole thing at one time. And that was one trap. Another one was in the washroom, and what they did, went in and took the side out, cut that out, made a slab, and we could slide this up and down, and you could still use the water. And the other one was right straight on the floor. You just cut a goddamn hole and made it was smooth cement, made a smooth plug that tapered, that fit, and you could not see it. And they'd use soap in the groove, and you could barely get a razor blade in there. And then the security plans, and then, of course, the manufacturing plans. They made compasses by the dozens, and then factories for converting uniforms into other kinds of uniforms, and German uniforms, fake Lugers, fake pit rifles. You had dispersal people by the hundreds. And the tunnelers, I think we probably had 20 to 25 of us who worked underground. I consider a pretty select group, the guys who did that work. Again, they were all types, Canadians, South Africans, Australians. As we got down and got going, we realized that the sand we were getting was not the same color as the surface sand. It had more yellow in it, more clay in it. And your knees and the elbows, it's a dead giveaway. The diggers then, they ended up with a pair of long johns that you kept in the hole, and you had to put that thing on to go digging. And I'm telling you, that's the worst thing you can imagine in the world. You get ready to go down, you take that dirty, clammy, horrible-looking long john and get in that thing and button it up. It would cover you everywhere. It's awful till you got used to it. And then you get down and get to work and you forget it. This was sandy soil. You had to shore everything. And we used bed boards. Of course, they requisitioned these bed boards. Whether you were part of the system or not, whether you were playing or not, you gave up your bed boards. You worked on your stomach, and you couldn't turn around in the tunnel. And the other guy, your partner, he either butt to butt, or sometimes he's in the same direction, and you just get the sand between your legs, pass the sand back. Sometimes you're in Stygian darkness. Oh, John, what the hell are you doing here? It get a little scary sometimes. They started building in the fall of '43 another camp, another compound, South Camp. And they announced that they're going to separate the RAF and the USAAF. The ex-committee and the command all said they need a chance, so we concentrated on one hole.
Mac, we'll close down Dick and Harry, seal them off. Put the entire effort into Tom and press right on into the trees.
And they started using the other holes to put dirt in.
We dig around the clock.
And so they worked like hell on that, and that's when when Tom got found. That was found by the guy on tapping along, walking, just kind of tapping, and hit a hollow sound. That was quite a shock to everybody. It made everybody feel bad. They didn't know what to do with the damn thing. The dimensions were such. We were out a couple hundred feet, and they got experts in. They finally blew it up, and the blast took the damn ceiling out. It took the whole damn the end of the building out. And shortly after that is when they moved us, and we moved into a brand new little place again, and the whole routine. And it turned out, of course, that Wally Fletty and 4 or 5 other guys who were really the core, the Germans moved them like they moved all the Yankees. They moved them about 2 or 3 months. Because old Limlitz, the senior German non-com, he knew goddamn well these guys were the limb leaders. And so they just moved them to another camp. They thought they had taken the core, which they did. But there were enough other people They didn't take Roger Bushell, who was the mastermind. The communication between camps was reasonable, and we knew they were still in business. But I guess when it happened, we were surprised. Very shortly thereafter, we began to realize they had already been discovered.
Don't shoot! Don't shoot! Don't shoot!
People were coming back in a few at a time, or one or two at a time. You'd hear about that. And then you started wondering. And, we didn't get the bad news until it all kind of came at once. The Germans issued a typewritten statement. Escaping is not a game. And we all looked at that, see who we knew, and thankful to those whose names weren't on there. Had lots of good friends on it, no question about it. Some people I'd met when I first got in camp, I'd worked with, lived with, and so on. It was a pretty traumatic time, no doubt about it. You know, there were 78 prisoners who actually escaped. 3 were made successful escapes. All of the rest of them were collected or captured by the Germans, and of that, 50 were murdered. After they broke the tunnel, after the Great Escape, the aftermath of that, we didn't have any large-scale activity. After the attempt on Hitler's life in July, then everybody got mean at that point in time. In January, we knew the Russians are coming. We could hear guns at night sometimes. You could hear artillery. We're edgy. We don't know what's going to happen. And then the word came to evacuate. The Germans, everybody, we just left, walked out. Of course, everybody carried too much. You bundled up with what you could, and you carried what you could. The Germans sent a horse-drawn wagon with bread in it, and the guards, and they stumbled along with us. They couldn't do very well. And it's a foot or more of snow. We're not in really good shape, and we haven't had overstuffed with food, so our endurance is not all that great. But we walked, and the people are falling out, and I began to think about me. And yeah, there are 200 guys, my guys. Well, I didn't really get down that far, but it was every man for himself there for a while. After about 4 days, they loaded us on the boxcars. They put you in, standing room only, and they shut the doors. And that was not too good. We were in there 3 days, and we got to Munich. We all got out. You get back in formation, and we marched up to Stalag 7A, and they were starting to collect there by the thousands. The lice and the bed bug got pretty heavy in that camp. The parcel system failed, so we got kind of hungry. There's no question about it. And then they got a convoy through from Switzerland. That was a mixed blessing because so many people overate. By April, even the Germans, everybody realized that things couldn't go on a hell of a lot longer. Then on the morning of the 29th, we could hear shooting. There was some resistance in the area. Like 10 o'clock, a tank drove through our front gate. The guards had disappeared by then. Patton came in a Jeep about noon, I guess. I don't know what. And he walked through a couple of the barracks, shook hands with some people. All our people some of them were hysterical, you know. Everybody jumping up and down and swarming all over the camp. And the tank, I really was shaken. And then began, to me, one of the most difficult periods, because here's an armored spearhead go through the camp, and they keep on going. And what do? Here are several thousand of us, and the word came down, stay put, because they have to bring up service troops and transportation to evacuate you. And that was about a week, and that wasn't too good. The good part of it was I got to fly home. I got to Washington by air, and then met my wife in San Antonio. As you can imagine, it was pretty emotional and a real second honeymoon type thing. And it was pretty heavy, no question about it. I proceeded to Frederick, Oklahoma, and I got checked out of the airplane. That was a hell of an experience, too, to get back in the air and pilot an airplane after, almost 3 years. In 1947, I went out to Williams and got checked out in the P-80. The jet changed flying, there's no doubt about it. I got orders to command a bomb group. We were to be stationed in Europe in support of NATO, and we were to be equipped with tactical atomic weapons. We were there for 3 years, and it was probably the height of the Cold War, and we played for real. All things must come to an end, and I got orders home. I ended up being selected as a director of the test force. So I had half a dozen pilots and engineers. The B-58 was a fairly complicated airplane, way ahead of its time.